Penny Wong says past Australian governments have ignored and disrespected Pacific nations' calls to act on climate change. The new Foreign Minister visited Fiji on the same day China's Foreign Minister was in the Solomon Islands to formally sign its security pact. A climatic visit to Fiji for Penny Wong.
And I've come here on day 4 because I wanted to say in person and in the Pacific, on behalf of the new Australian government, how deeply we value being part of the Pacific family.
Australia's new Foreign Minister had a pledge for the Pacific.
This is a different Australian government and a different Australia.
In her first speech for her new role.
And we will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, our Pacific family, in response to this crisis. We understand that we need to work together like never before, for our peoples and for generations to come.
Penny Wong says the government will reinstate the role of Australia's ambassador for climate change and is proposing a bid to co-host a future United Nations climate conference with Pacific Island countries, seeking to distance Australia's new government from its past.
I acknowledge that, and I understand that under past governments, Australia has neglected its responsibility to act on climate, ignoring the calls of our Pacific family to act, disrespecting Pacific nations in their struggle to adapt to what is an existential threat.
Senator Wong wasn't the only foreign minister touring the Pacific. Her visit coincided with that of China's Wang Yi, who was in the Solomon Islands to sign the controversial security pact between the two nations. He's also due to visit 8 other nations in the Pacific region to pitch similar deals. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says New Zealand is ready to respond to the security needs of the Pacific, following rumours China's planning to sign a region-wide deal with almost a dozen island nations. Ms Ardern says the Pacific should be able to meet their needs internally without intervention from other nations. The Solomon Islands opposition leader expressed his concerns over the deal in an interview with Sky News chief anchor Kieran Gilbert.
I was one of those that was very concerned about the switching allegiance from Taiwan to China. We're not ready to deal with China. The pace in which we're moving with this relationship is very concerning. And it's just not me, but it's even shared by the bureaucrats and those that are working behind the scenes in government, who are preparing and supposed to scrutinize agreements and MOUs that we're supposed to be signing.
Newly elected Foreign Minister Penny Wong touched down in Fiji this afternoon in an attempt to strengthen the Pacific's relationship with Australia. The trip coincides with that of Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who also travelled to the Pacific. Former Prime Minister Scott Morrison is vowing to remain in Parliament despite the Liberal election wipeout. His likely replacement as Liberal leader Peter Dutton is promising to unite the fractured party.